all my friends are right here, and here are my friends.
Nailed it.
It's been a while, guys, since we've done this show. I don't remember if that's our catchphrase or our opening or not.
You nailed our classic catchphrase.
Classic catchphrase. What was it?
Unforgettable.
Unforgettable. So it's all my friends are right here. I'm your host, Vince. We've also got Scott.
Hello.
We've got Dylan.
Hey, Vince.
And we've got Michael.
If in fact we have a catchphrase, wouldn't it be "I love you so much"?
Yeah, but that's the finale quote. I remember that one.
Okay.
It's been a long time since. I believe it's been 3 months since we did our last episode. And actually, I think it was a week before the election is when we last.
I would like to go back to that episode.
Yeah.
It was all about death and decay, so I guess we set the tone.
Fuck. Was it really?
Yeah.
Is this our fault? Did we do this?
We talked about
who died?
Everybody who had died up to that point by Halloween.
Hey, I was on that
2016.
episode.
We didn't talk about everybody that died up to that point, just like some of the people.
Yeah, but a lot more people died after that. George Michael, Carrie Fisher, Debbie Reynolds, Alan Thicke.
Even more of us wish we were dead.
Yeah, I know. So, but
All
luckily,
my friends wish they were dead.
So what we're celebrating today, because we just had to have an episode, was, guys, it's the 18th anniversary of Varsity Blues last week.
Oh, right.
Last week?
January 15th, 1999.
What is the gift for the 18th anniversary?
I'm going to look it up. You guys keep talking. I'm going to look it up, and then we're going to figure out a gift for Varsity Blues. And we're going to do this, but go ahead and keep talking while I look it up.
Well, I feel like now they're old enough to be in their own movie, and we're going to give them the gift of not wanting our lives. So
it's all they ever wanted. The gift... I'm not making this up.
What is it?
This is from Hallmark, okay?
Well, that's a trusted source right there. What is it? Tell us.
It's appliances.
Okay.
Because you're 18, because you got to go apply yourself.
It's appliances.
What?
So
what
like
appliance would you give somebody?
Like a washer?
So,
does a mixer count?
First anniversary is paper. 5th is wood. 10th is tin or aluminum. That's kind of shitty. 18th is appliances.
Hey, those are expensive.
They are expensive.
That's a good gift. But Scott, if I gave you a refrigerator right now, what would you do with it?
I would listen to the entire Varsity, but I already have a refrigerator, so I don't know. I honestly don't know. It would block access to at least one room in my apartment.
So we're actually not talking about the Varsity Blues, though. We actually we're talking about our series finale, because figured it's been 3 months. Let's just end the show, and we talked about this a few months before our last episode. So this is our official last episode. Something that I always prided our show on being was very positive. Like, there's a lot of snark in writing today. There's a lot of snark in podcasts. A lot of people making fun of things, and I think we always strove to try to find the good in things. Like, we tried to find the best of the worst, like the best M. Night Shyamalan movie. We tried to find the best Limp Bizkit song, try as we might. I think we agreed on some. It was a George Michael song, if I'm not mistaken. But
yeah, I think it was their version of Faith by George Michael.
But we talked a lot about things over our 2-year run of this show. A lot of fun things. So today we're just gonna talk about everything we always wanted to talk about. So our favorite movies, our favorite TV shows, our favorite little moments, our favorite podcasts. Now that this one's over, that you can go to, our favorite music, and our favorite moments from this podcast. So just anything we wanted to finally get out. I know we've talked about a lot over the days, but I'm sure we have things. So Dylan, alphabetically, we're going to start with you today.
Oh, fuck.
What's your favorite?
I appreciate...
Dylan's board is busted.
I appreciate that you set this up as giving us time to talk about the stuff that we finally really wanted to talk about, because I don't think we had enough freedom on this show to, really explore.
We were always so constrained by the topics.
75 episodes of at least an hour long. Yeah, I'm sure. Some encroaching on 2 hours. I think we had 2 James Bond episodes. Yeah.
Vince, you asked me to come up with things that I love and talk about the stuff that I love, but I'm going to talk about the stuff that I like. And let me tell you what the distinction is there. I love a lot of stuff, but recently I found myself thinking about shows that I watch that I end up watching a lot that I don't think of as liking, but I'm like, you know what? I really like that thing. Have you guys watched Bosch on Amazon Prime?
I see ads
Nope.
for it all the time.
It's really good. I really like it.
Is it?
What is it?
That's. Do I have to talk more about it?
Yeah.
Or I thought we were just listing something.
This is a podcast, Dylan. I know we're a little rusty.
Have you read any of the Harry Bosch novels?
No.
Neither have I. It's a crime show, or the novels are about a detective who lives in Los Angeles. And I think the novels take place over the course of like 20 years of this guy that lives in LA. He's a police detective. There's murders. It's kind of pulpy, things like that. And the show is loosely based on the novels, but they've added in some new stuff. It's fun because it's a detective show. I think the character's cool. And I really like shows about Los Angeles, where Los Angeles is, where it feels like the real Los Angeles. And that's what this one does. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Who's in it?
Oh, geez, this guy's name is Titus Welliver.
What?
Oh, I've seen him and stuff. What is he?
No idea. I don't think I've seen him in
Sounds like a
anything.
fake
I think he was on either Lost or Game of Thrones.
I don't think he was on Game of Thrones. Anyway, it's an Amazon show, and I feel like some Amazon shows you see
this
a lot of
dude.
publicity for.
This
Yeah.
dude is great.
What else has he been in? Help me out.
He was in Argo.
Who is he in Argo?
He was on Lost.
Oh,
He
no one
wasn't
watches
Lost. I
that.
believe he was the Man in Black.
He was also wasn't he in oh fuck, he's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh
was-
yeah, look,
he also-
he's been in a ton of stuff. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's a great show, and especially if you read the novels. My wife has read them. I have not read them. I don't read.
I think my folks had watched this show too.
Yeah, he's been in all the Ben Affleck movies.
Oh, you know what? I bet parents love this. You know what parents love? Have your parents tried to get you to watch Mozart in the Jungle?
No, not
No.
yet.
No. Do parents love that?
Parents like that show. What's the other show that parents
Does your
love?
mom just really have a crush on Gabriel Garcia Bernal?
No, Sarah's parents watch it, and every time I talk to them, they ask us if we watch it, and we're like, no, not yet.
No one watches that except parents and the Hollywood Foreign Press.
I think last time I was over at Richard's house, his parents were watching another Amazon like live drama. Can't remember what it was though now. The Killing, The Bridge, are those Netflix shows now?
I
The Killing is a
don't know.
Netflix show now.
Oh, okay.
Can't keep up.
That's not on my list of things I love. I didn't like The Killing.
Would you say, Dylan, would you say you love liking things?
I love to like things.
I love to like, but I like to love.
You know what I like?
I think Dylan, I
speak-
kicked it to you off for movies, but I think you went straight
Oh.
to TV shows. So
Well, I didn't hear you say movie. Let's talk about.
Oh, are we talking? Hold on. Are we doing this in different categories?
okay,
Hold on, no. I want to talk about the movies I like.
okay.
I
You know what I like?
just like,
Hold on.
Dylan,
I really
Dylan.
like here. No. Here's what I like. I like, and I have to mention them together because I can't not think of them together. I love the movies Dave and The American President. Have you seen both of these movies?
Dude,
Yeah.
I bought one of the, those 4-pack of DVD movies, where it's like a DVD with like 4 movies in it for $10, or no, for $7, and it had Dave, The American President, My Fellow Americans, and something else, some other presidential movie that I didn't care about.
That's a
Yo,
good 4-pack
my
and
fellow
very
Amer-
timely, Vince.
Yeah, I got it before the election, and I was like, I love Dave. Dave is a wonderful movie.
You know what? The American President is on TV a lot. Dave is never on TV. And I went to go try and find it streaming the other week, and it's not on any streaming service.
Well, you should look into this $7 DVD that has both American President and Dave and My Fellow Americans and something else. My Fellow
Really
Americans
the
is
only
underrated
person-
too.
You were the
Where did
only
you
person
buy
I
this
know that still
4-pack?
buys
Off of
DVDs.
Amazon? We're really pushing Amazon today.
Do we need to have a disclaimer or disclosure or a?
no, but we should have one of those things where when people buy something from Amazon, we get like a cent. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Like one of those links. I mean, I guess it's probably too late now.
We do need one of those links.
So that was there. We put that link right there. Okay. Yeah, American President's really good. What candidate ended up was it Ted Cruz ended up quoting speeches from the American president?
Probably because he was the movie guy.
No, he did. He did the Oh fuck!
Because
What was
Donald
it?
Trump was making fun of Ted Cruz's wife, and then Ted Cruz shot back with quotes from American President about Annette Bening. But
about Sidney Wade.
Oh, that's right.
What did he say?
And then he goes on TV, and he calls her a whore. That's that speech at the end where he's talking to, what's the name of the senator? Oh, crap. What's that actor's name? Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
That's a great speech.
The fourth movie in that pack was Wag the Dog.
Big Boopling as well.
What?
Oh, Wag the Dog's good. I haven't seen Wag the Dog in a long time.
It's $10 now. It's gone up in price, but yeah.
Vince, do you like Wag the Dog?
I think it's an okay movie. I was much more into David Mamet movies back in the late 90s with Heist and State and Maine.
So was Hollywood.
Yo, and if Donald wants to get in a character fight, he's better off sticking with me because Heidi is way out of his league. That's what Ted Cruz said and the actual line is because Sidney Allen Wade is way out of his league or something like that.
He also did. You guys see that video when Ted Cruz did like the entire Miracle Max scene from Princess Bride by himself?
No.
Yes,
I didn't see that.
Yes,
I would like to see this because I would like that very much.
I mean, the thing about it is that like he doesn't do it badly. He does it like your dad who's like really memorized something well, but it kind of makes it creepier that it's not bad. Do you know what I mean? Like it makes it creepier.
And he's like trying and like he's like really put a lot of thought into this.
He put a lot of preparation into that scene.
You saw the scene of him in Crucible in school, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Wait, is the scene from The Crucible starring Ted Cruz a movie that you really like?
The Crucible.
No, this is a stage production of The Crucible that he did in school.
No,
it's a video recording from a live production.
Oh, I get it.
What did he play?
Yes, and Michael. I don't know what he played actually.
Did he play John Proctor? I don't think
I
Ted
assume
Cruz
it was
got
John
in the lead.
Proctor.
Oh.
Nah, man, he has to be Danforth, right?
I don't like Ted Cruz.
And I don't like The Crucible. So why are we talking about this subject? So Moving on. We're talking about favorite things. Raindrops on roses and whiskers and kittens.
Do I go again?
Dylan, let's move on a bit. We'll come back to you.
Good. I need to add to my list because I burned through half of it.
Michael, we're going to go to you. Favorite TV or movies or both?
Oh, man. All right. Well, see, now I come into this being like, well, let me talk about like what my favorite things are. But then Dylan just started talking about stuff that like is more recent that he enjoys. That makes a lot more sense. But I don't really know where to go with this. I will say this. I will jump on kind of something that for a favorite TV show, I know a couple of us share this, and I recently started having a lot more discussions about it. And that's a good old Battlestar Galactica. I've been wanting to do a rewatch, especially with a lot of the political climate that's coming up and how much of that show that tempers that. But I was more specifically, I really enjoy that with Battlestar. There's like a secret code that once you bridge it, it's a really great feeling with people. One of my clients is like a woman in her 40s, and somehow a Battlestar Galactica quote got said, and we kind of looked at each other, and we're both like, you know what that is? Yeah, you got it. And it's like a brotherhood to some degree, even, and it's just really, really, really satisfying when that happens.
So I have something kind of about this, Michael, about what you just said, which is that I went to, I don't know if we'll see where it goes, but it just made me think of something that happened to me last weekend, is that I went to a movie, and the movie was at like noon, and so there were two ushers kind of hanging out, taking tickets, and one of the ushers looks at me, and she says, "Does liking Star Wars make you a nerd?" And I like stopped for a second, and then I was like, well, no, because like everybody knows something about it. Like if you reference something about Star Wars, like you're just like a human being who's lived in America in the last 40 years, right? Like that's
the
not
movie made $1 billion. Like everybody likes Star Wars.
It's this huge thing. And so the other usher was like, "See, I told you." And then I was like, I mean, maybe if you had said like Battlestar Galactica or something, and I didn't mean it in a derogatory way, but I guess I just meant that like Star Wars does not have. I guess it still kind of does based on how much you really like it and how much you know about it, but it feels like it's a little Star Wars is too open now. Like that club takes anybody. You know what I mean?
Totally. No, look, Battlestar Galactica, it's certainly not like this unknown, you've got to get to it show.
It's no Babylon 5 or Farscape. Come on.
No, but it aired Friday nights at 10 o'clock or something on the Sci-Fi Channel. Like, the cool kids weren't sitting at home watching Battlestar.
Wait, I was watching Battlestar.
Exactly. And got me into it. And that was great. But like, so it's a little bit deeper of a cut as opposed to like a wide release movie and stuff like that. Now, I don't think there should be any elitism about it. I just think that there's an element where a lot of people aren't prepared. And it used to be like this for like fantasy novels and all that shit too, until Game of Thrones changed all that. But like, there's just an element of people being like, "Oh, you like that too? Oh, cool." That totally changes dynamics. Actually, I often find, and people get so excited to talk about it when they realize that you also like it in a way that I do not encounter with other fan bases. I don't know, Vince. Do you find that to be true?
I don't talk that much about BSG anymore, but I did like make my first coworker friend at work when talking about Battlestar Galactica. So yeah, because I saw him have like a Cylon on his desk. And I'm like, I like Battlestar, and he was like, cool. And then we talked about it. And I'm like, oh sweet, like we're friends now. So yeah, I guess Battlestar Galactica did help me make friends.
It's like he had like an OG Cylon.
Yeah, I don't think, and the thing is like I don't think like Battlestar fans are like, I don't know, we're in such like a weird Arrested Development of like our generation, like that we like childlike things that I think we would have gotten rid of, or nerdy things are now like as commonplace as like liking sports. Like you don't have to like hide in the closet because you like sports.
Totally. Yeah, and I don't think there's any. I think the stigma of the nerd and all that has obviously dropped in terms of, everybody walking around being like, "Oh, I'm such a nerd," and it's like, well, what does that even mean?
I mean, I am disappointed in myself that I don't know all of the planets named in Rogue One, or even Force Awakens.
What's the last planet they're on that they send the transmission from? Why can't I remember the name of it?
Hell if I know.
You're no help.
I have yet to see Rogue One. Have not gone yet.
Did you hear that the planet that Rey and Luke are on in Episode 8 is rumored to be named Act 2? Like Act 2?
Stop. No. I don't. I'll believe it when I see it.
I mean, the Jedi planet was named Jedha in Rogue One, so.
Yeah, I guess.
That kind of makes sense because wouldn't you?
Maybe that's where the name came from. I don't know.
I just remember I used to know the name of every single guy in Jabba's palace, like Max Rebo and Salacious Crumb.
Max, yeah.
People told me I needed to get a girlfriend, and now I only remember those two dudes.
Tom Servo.
What is
Max Rebo the elephant?
Yes.
That dude's awesome.
Dylan said Tom Servo.
Oh, you know what I like?
What do you like?
Back to Dylan.
No, that's rude. No, keep going.
Okay.
No, go ahead. What do you like?
Well, I was gonna say I like Tom Servo.
You like the rest of Mystery Science Theater 3?
I just reminded myself.
Or just Tom Servo?
I do, but I think Tom Servo is probably my favorite. Oh, wait, which one's Tom Servo?
He's not the
Tom
Crow.
Servo was the gumball machine.
Yeah. Tom Servo.
And then Crow was the gold guy with the weird like fan on the back of his head.
Yeah.
All right. Scott, we'll go to you. TV show or movie? And then we'll come back to Michael.
I'll go movie. So it's a little tough for me to think like in terms of favorites because this time of year I'm seeing quite a few of 2016's movies. I'm on a quest to see everything I want to see from 2016 before the Oscars. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I have a list. That list currently has 24 titles on it, and I didn't get anything done this week. I saw 6 movies over the weekend. I felt pretty good about myself, but then I really dropped the ball, and I've only watched 1 movie all week. So
is there a year where you've done it, where you've gone into the Oscars seeing everything that you wanted to see?
Never, and that's why I want this to be the year. And I might, some of these movies I might drop because I'm looking at some of these movies and I'm like, I don't want to watch this fucking movie. So, and it's like I'm gonna see anything that gets nominated probably. It's really just the list is more like it's a few more things in theaters that I have to see, and then it's mostly like things that I just kind of missed out on over the course of the year, right? Anyway, that's not really what I'm talking about. All I brought that up for was to say that I'm in a very like, a very contemporary state of mind, but I saw a movie that made me go back and revisit one of my favorite movies, my favorite movie from the year 2011. I saw the movie 20th Century Women, directed by Mike Mills, and then which I enjoyed quite a bit, and then that night went home and watched on Netflix his last movie, Beginners, from 2011, which has like a real place as one of my favorite movies. I love that movie.
That's a fucking great movie.
It's so good. It's so good. He's just a damn good filmmaker. And if you like Beginners, you're going to love 20th Century Women because it's basically just, it lives in the exact same world.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, so Beginners is a true story. It's about his parents. For those of you who don't know, Beginners is based on Mike Mills' actual experience. His mother died of cancer in 1999. His mother and father had been married for, I believe, 40 years. 6 months after his mother died, his father came out as gay. And then I think within a year also died of cancer. So it was and I say that sounds like a heavy movie. It's not like a death movie. It's actually like a romantic comedy in some ways.
Well, it's that thing where it's not a death movie. It's a movie that has death, so it's really a life movie. Like
yeah,
it's really
absolutely.
It's all about celebrating and becoming, and accepting and love, and it's really just terrific and fantastic performances and really cool filmmaking. The thing with the dog is so brilliant. It's great. That's a great movie. If you haven't seen it, go see it.
Yeah, like I said, it's on Netflix, so check that out. And also that kind of brings me to I just think Ewan McGregor is one of our most underrated actors. I love him in like everything. He does some of the grunt work sometimes in movies. I feel like he takes on these kind of thankless roles. Like Beginners, he's fantastic. Christopher Plummer won the Oscar, and rightfully so, because it's a great role for Christopher Plummer, and it's about time that Christopher Plummer has an Oscar. But Ewan McGregor's fantastic in this movie, and he tends to play like sort of the leading man or the straight man in a movie where someone else really shines. And I think sometimes we overlook him because of that, but I just want to say, I see you, Ewan.
I think he's gonna get a solo film and solo Star Wars film, and it will be tremendous.
The young Obi-Wan, or not young, but the Obi-Wan Lost in the Desert years.
Yep.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
That's the rumor.
Do we know what's coming after the Han Solo flick?
Nope.
This is all rumors. Okay.
Yeah. We don't.
I'm really curious with Ewan McGregor doing stuff. I'm really, really wondering what the hell they're going to do with Trainspotting 2.
Right?
I think I heard. Isn't it out? Hasn't it been out in England for a while?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
They're making it right now.
But
it comes out like next week.
Does it?
Yeah.
Really?
And that's why I'm confused, because that makes, because like Trainspotting 1 was like a movie that got some Oscar attention, and for it to be dumped in January makes me concerned.
Well, but it's also, like, what do you do? Trainspotting 1 is all about these heroin addicts and stuff, and it's like, how are they alive 25 years later? Like,
well, in fairness, it comes out in England in January, and it will be released worldwide in February and March. So it's not quite getting dumped in January.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, I think the trailer deals with that, the aspects of like how do you live like having been a heroin addict for 20 years or like no longer a heroin addict? Because I believe Ewan McGregor is clean, and I love the title T2 Train Spotting. It's so goofy.
Right.
I think one of them may be dead, but I think that one may be the one that died in the movie. I'm not sure. The first movie.
Well, that would make sense.
Yeah, they'd still be dead. I forgot how many people were in that movie, like Kelly MacDonald and Johnny Lee Miller, a.k.a. Sherlock from Elementary. And I knew
if they're just following the continuity, if a character is dead in the first movie and remains dead in the second movie. If the character was not dead, it would be a very different sequel than what I'm expecting from this franchise.
Yeah, it's actually a prequel. It's like like Wet Hot American Summer, first day of camp. That'd be hilarious.
I'm in.
I like that movie. I like that TV show. Well, let's go to me for. We're going to talk about one of my favorite movies, very different from Beginners. It's from 2012. I wouldn't say it's my favorite movie, but it's one of my favorites. It's The Man with the Iron Fists, written, directed, and starring the RZA from Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that?
Saw that.
I never saw
but I know what you're talking about.
It is. My wife and I saw it on a double feature at the Dollar Theater. So we went to go see Seven Psychopaths, and then we went to go see The Man with the Iron Fist, and it collectively cost us $4 to see these two movies. And it is a tremendous, like, love letter to 70s martial art movies. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it feels the movie. It's obvious that the RZA knows this is the only movie he'll ever get to direct, because they're never going to give him money for it again, another movie. And so he throws like way too much in a movie. Like, you know how most movies are like, let's hold back. Like, maybe you shouldn't do all that. Like, maybe you shouldn't have 7 different factions all fighting each other. And like, maybe the villain shouldn't be a guy just vamping as a Prince knockoff. And maybe Lucy Liu and Russell Crowe shouldn't be in it. But it is amazing. Like, the villain is a dude just doing the Chappelle Show Prince impression the whole time. And so he's like a super vampy villain. It's fun. The RZA, every time he does a stunt, they do it in slow-mo, and he can't hide his like glee for doing the stunt. Like, you know, he's like very serious in the movie, but he's just like smiling like a child. And then like Russell Crowe, I don't know how Russell Crowe's in this movie, except they must have told him, Russell Crowe, all your scenes, you're just gonna have beautiful naked women around you the whole time, and you're just gonna be there playing with a knife. And Russell Crowe's like, I can do that. And then Lucy Liu is just playing her like Kill Bill role, and it's just like, it's not the greatest film in the world, but if you get a bunch of friends together and don't bother following the plot, just enjoy the fun on the screen and like the fun fight sequences and clever martial arts tricks, it's a fantastic movie. I really liked it.
Do you love it?
I don't want to be friends with the person who goes to this movie and is interested in the plot. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That person needs to stay the fuck away from me.
Yeah, like I ain't got to deal with somebody picking apart that kind of...
The Man with the Iron Fist.
Yeah.
The RZA's directorial debut.
So I'll piggyback kind of along that same lines, that style of movie and everything. So we used to, as everybody here has done, we used to do this thing called Whiskey Breakfast. And for anybody out there that doesn't know, Whiskey Breakfast was you would go see a movie such as The Man with the Iron Fist, some sort of generally this big action movie.
Expendables 2, Battleship.
Yeah, and you would bring a flask of whiskey. You would go before noon or something and drink your whiskey and watch your great movie. And so, Scott, you pointing out, like, I don't want to be the friend with the person that wants to pick apart the plot of The Man with the Iron Fist. Anytime I talk to somebody, I've had this happen a few times. I've talked to people and they talk about how bad of a movie Battleship is. And I kind of want to be like, you're wrong. Battleship was fucking awesome. Like, it was a blast. And why would you go see that movie if you were expecting it to bring you any kind of like artistic catharsis or something? They made a movie out of a board game, put aliens in it, and launched missiles at it. Like, that's exactly what I wanted from it.
So I once, because I have strong feelings about this, and I understand. Like, it is not a good movie, right? Like,
no.
Like it, by any metric, it is not a good movie. I once was at this thing. I was working for a screenwriting a firm that did like screenwriting advising, basically. And it was all online, but we had to meet up for something. So we're going around the room, and the icebreaker was like, what's your favorite guilty pleasure movie? And everybody was giving guilty pleasures that aren't guilty pleasures. They were giving like The Room, which is not like, no one actually, like, that's not a guilty pleasure. Like, you only like it because you're making fun of
guilty
it, right?
pleasures like Love Guru, which I do actually enjoy.
Or
No, you have no guilt. You feel no guilt.
No guilt, no shame.
or Battleship, right?
Yeah.
Because Battleship is like, I fully understand that it's not a good movie, but like, let me tell you, and I was the only person who dared to bring up an actually bad movie, like, or a movie that's bad that people don't like, you know, that isn't like The Room, where it's become like so bad it's good. And
not a favorite.
And I was almost kicked out of this meeting. Like, people like rioted. But I maintain, as bad as that movie is, there's a right way to see it, and that's the way that we saw it, which is drunk at like 10, 11 a.m. With one of your friends slamming movie theater hot dogs the entire time. I think that is the correct way to see it.
Point. That's a totally valid point. Like, I would not go. Like, a couple of weeks ago, I went to the Art House Theater by myself in New York and saw Nocturnal Animals and really enjoyed it and stuff like that.
Ooh, let's talk about Nocturnal Animals offline, because I have a lot of thoughts about Nocturnal Animals.
Cool, we will. But like, that is not the environment that I want to go see. I want to go see Battleship in. Like, for instance, in a couple of weeks, it is friend of the show Richard's birthday, and I realized that it is also the opening weekend for John Wick 2. And so
John Wick Chapter 2?
Yeah. Whatever it is. And so I texted Richard and I said, clear your schedule. Obviously, we're going to go see John Wick 2. Because that is the way for me to go see I don't want to go see John Wick 2 by myself. I want to go see it with my friend and get silly and watch it. But those movies are about the experience of it. And I should just say this. I like movies that are about the experience of the movie, whether it's good or bad. Because I often have a lot more fun going to see. I don't actually go see that many movies in theater anymore, very rarely. So often the ones that I do are the ones that are like the big explosion movies, because I can watch a lot of the other. I feel less of a need to see the artsier ones or the like quiet dramas in the big screen, which is probably wrong, but it's just how it works. And it's kind of more fun to go see the shitty fun movie instead.
Word. I agree.
For sure.
Yeah, I know. I think every movie has a right experience to watch it in. There's no such thing as a bad movie. Like, you watch it ironically.
Except for the Three Musketeers, that one that Scott and I saw on a whiskey breakfast, that was so bad that even a whiskey breakfast could not save that movie.
I was really ready to be done with that movie. That was bad. That movie was bad.
So bad. So bad. Anyway.
So I'm just going to take a little time here to say, like, my favorite moment in a movie of the last 10 years, my favorite character is P. Diddy's character Sergio from Get Him to the Greek. The rest of the movie.
You do love that character. That character has some lines that are ribald, and I don't want to repeat right now.
We're going to out-party these motherfuckers.
Yeah, let's go with that one. But
and
when he's a lot of fun to repeat.
He's looking for the Go-Gurt when his kids are watching Biggest Loser and they're all in their Kobe jerseys.
I sing that song all the time.
It's Daddy's
Biggest Loser time.
It's Daddy's favorite show. It's Daddy's favorite show.
It's funny. I didn't know that you were necessarily. I mean, it makes perfect sense that you really love that character, Vince. I didn't know that you did offhand, but I did recently reference that movie because I was in a rehearsal and one of my fellow actors in it, she was like petting, for lack of a better term, she was petting a tree that was on stage, just kind of absent-mindedly. And it made me think of the scene in Get Him to the Greek where they're all like tripping balls and petting the wall.
That's my favorite line. That's the one that I didn't want to say out loud, but it's amazing.
What is that?
I can't remember what he texted the person. And he texted like, "Get whatever," and then he's like, "I'll fucking kill you," smiley face, with the voiceover. Such a perfect character. I was really hoping that they would continue that through line of taking like a small character from like Forgetting Sarah Marshall and then making him the focus of Get Him in the Greek and then making Diddy the focus of the next movie. And then
like the way that that the Kroll show keeps spinning off if they had done that with the Forgetting Sarah Marshall universe.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of, I would like I would like a movie just about that office where like who are the guys in the office? It was like Nick Kroll and Aziz Ansari and like Was Mike Birbiglia one of them, or am I
think he
making that
was.
up? The Office in that movie is pretty amazing.
That movie's not the greatest movie, but it is enjoyable. It is way too long though, especially when you're watching it on TV. It is like 3 hours.
Way too long. Way too long.
Yeah,
And the third act makes you be like, why am I still watching this movie?
I know.
What is happening anymore?
Yeah, it disintegrates quickly.
But there's some good times in there.
Oh yeah.
So, do we guys have any more music or TVs that we want, or movies or TV that we want to cover?
I think we did it. We talked
Yeah.
about all the best movies.
Yeah, we're talking
And
about.
I haven't
everything.
even seen the last like maybe 5 or 6 movies that we've been talking about. So I've just been kind of listening to the podcast. Is that okay?
Yeah.
How's it
how's
sound
it
so far?
sounding?
Do you think we covered what we needed to cover?
Yeah, you lost me a bit there, but it's all good.
All right. Let's move into music then. Just our favorite music. Michael, let's go to you as the oldest one here.
Oh, I am the oldest one here.
Old man's going to talk about some fucking Steely Dan or something.
Oh, my friend, I'm gonna go right about to that era. Look, my favorite 5 minutes of music ever is Van Morrison's Caravan from The Last Waltz. But we talk about The Last Waltz a whole lot on this show, so we don't need to get into it.
But we're never going to talk about it again because the show's over.
That's all right. But I spent a long time the other day. One of my other favorite songs in the world is "Ooh La La" by The Faces, which I discovered.
I have a whole thing on this, but we can talk about this.
Okay, great. I love that song. I definitely came to it through Wes Anderson soundtracks and stuff like that, which then made me kind of find The Faces, which I didn't know about independently of Rod Stewart, et cetera, et cetera. And it is remarkably hard to find, like, usually I'll get on YouTube every once in a while and do, like, the YouTube deep dive trying to find a live version of something from around the era it came out. And it is basically impossible to find a good live version of that song, which is really upsetting to me. But it's like
Ooh La La.
Yeah.
It was like right before they broke up, right?
Yeah, and it was not. I don't believe it was a hit at all when it came out. Like, that is a song that has come to prominence much later. And actually, I did find a great video of Ron Wood and Rod Stewart playing it.
That's cool.
But they were much older. But
Yeah.
Ron Wood was even like, we're gonna play a song now that I think is probably the best composition we ever came up with. And Rod Stewart's like, yeah, no question. I just love that song, and it just does so much for me. Like, kind of no matter what mood I'm in, if it's a up mood or down mood or anything, it just takes me all over the map, and I love it.
Yeah, I also love that Ron Wood sings lead on that, which you don't hear a lot.
Yeah.
My thing about Ooh La La, which I also love, is Ooh La La is the song for me, and I wonder, maybe this will spark something in you guys, but is my pick for song that I don't care how many times I hear it, I'm still going to like it. And it's not at all, it doesn't make me feel cool to like that song, because it's like, especially like in the last 10 years or so, it's everywhere. It's in commercials, it's in movies, like it's all over the place, right? But I don't give a shit because I really like that song. So
Was it used as much commercially before Rushmore?
I don't know. I was familiar
I can't imagine
with
it was.
but I think that was a big boost for it.
I know exactly what you mean by that, Scott, and I think there's a couple of those songs. It does not matter. There is no end to that song for me. And it's not in the way that like Ignition is or something like that, right? Like that's
Those are very different songs, Michael.
well, that's my point though, is that like Ignition can always be played at like at a party or something like that, or a bar, that kind of thing. But Ooh La La, like, it's just, there is no tiring of it for me. Another one I have like that is If I Ever Leave This World Alive by Flogging Molly, which is also a very different song.
Ah, okay.
But it has kind of the same effect on me, where there's just some sort of build and catharsis, and it's just beautiful. I agree with you though. It does not matter how many times it plays. I can always listen to it.
That was not the first song, but I remember desperately trying to find that on like LimeWire and Napster, but it was hard to find. There was no copy that you could download. And I don't know why I never just went out and bought the Rushmore soundtrack.
That would be the way to do it.
I think that's why I did
probably
go buy
because Barnes and Noble would charge like $17.99 for it.
It's like
CDs
$20.
were so expensive.
It's true.
It's almost like they gave us a reason as poor 15-year-olds with no money to download everything off of Napster and LimeWire.
Yeah.
So who else has got music?
I have. Oh, is there an order we should be going in?
We're going in age this time. So I'm your second elder statesman here. So
go for it, old man.
Old Man River. I was reading an article about Amy Mann's new album coming out, and AV Club said Amy Mann makes people so depressed that Spotify has a feature that if you listen to Lost in Space too many times, they'll call a therapist for you. And I was like, I do love that album. That is her best album. So I went on an Amy Mann deep dive again this week. I got super depressed. So I'm not allowed to listen to Amy Mann for another 6 months because I'm done with her right now. But I still love the Bare Naked Ladies, specifically their two albums from 06 and 07, Are Me and Are Men. Just perfect little pop albums. I know no one's listened to them. It's like 7 years after Stunt and Maroon and, 1 Week, and It's All Been Done and all the songs that people know them for. But those are the two like best crafted pop albums, and they're the last ones where they were all together before Stephen Page did whatever Stephen Page did to be kicked out of the band.
Go read his Wikipedia because it is like listening to a season of Serial. It is amazing.
Are you serious?
Yes. Oh yeah. It's the details of his arrest are strange, and there's a lot of them.
Huh. Interesting.
The thing is like everything that I've read on the Wikipedia is all about like crazy like cocaine arrests and everything like that. But all of his solo albums seem like he slept with a band member from Bare Naked Ladies, like their wife. Like he slept.
Oh, that's different than what you started to say.
Yeah, I know. I corrected myself.
And I would counter, not as interesting.
Not as interesting sleeping with a Bare Naked Ladies member. And then them being like, we can't work with him anymore. We had to break up.
If it turns out the Bare Naked Ladies was like the second carnation of Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
Well, the way you said it sounded like Stephen Page was just fucking all the other members, and they were like, we have to kick him out of the band, so we stopped fucking him.
I can't help myself.
I can't help
Why can't I quit you?
He's really talented.
That's the world I want to live in.
But I do love Bare Naked Ladies, and I just guys check out the Bare Naked Ladies later over. It's really good. Their last 3 albums are okay, but their mid 2000 stuff is like peak Bare Naked Ladies.
Really my dog just jumped into my face.
Dog just jumped in your face.
Cool.
Yeah. Sorry.
And then I know Christmas is over, but Over the Rhine's album Snow Angels is like the best modern Christmas album. Has no standards. It's really good. Just a good, like, depressing Christmas album or holiday album.
I'm all about that.
Does anybody know Kelly Clarkson's Christmas album?
No.
I don't either.
Oh, okay. Moving on.
But one of my friends, a girl I went to college with on Facebook recently talked about how sad she is to put it away every January. And made it sound as if she literally sheds tears every time she puts a CD on a shelf every January. And she said it's her favorite modern Christmas album, and I'm kind of curious now.
Okay.
Huh.
Anyway.
I'm into it.
I'm into Kelly Clarkson. I've been right about things before, like Justin Bieber turning out to be a good pop artist. You guys doubted me, and then I was vindicated.
Man. Yeah, but you weren't right for the right reasons.
I've been right about
you weren't
things.
Vindicated, you were vindicated.
I've been right about things before is a thing that a man who often is told he is wrong says.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut once every now and then.
That's true.
Yep.
Even a broken watch is right twice a day.
So, I guess we'll go to now Scott as the third oldest member of this panel.
Okay, here's how I'm feeling. We did an episode. I'm going to make this about our show since we haven't talked about our show very much. we did an episode about the music of the 70s where we each had to nominate the best song of a given year in the 70s. And I had the very first pick in that episode. I had the first pick of 1970. And I don't at all regret the song I picked, which was Move On Up by Curtis Mayfield, because I love that song. That's one of my favorite songs. But the song I left on the table does haunt me a bit, and I've been thinking about it more lately. The song that I was between that and Move On Up, that song was Lola by the Kinks, which I love for a lot of reasons. Lola was my gateway into the 70s era Kinks because it was their last kind of big hit before they put out what I would say was actually their best music in the 70s. But I don't think as like a teenager I ever would have gotten into that if Lola wasn't on one of those albums and then got me into that music. But I love that song. It's an incredible song. And it's weirdly, I'm trying to like choose my words carefully here and also not give the band more credit than they deserve. But like, I really like the message of that song. I really do. It has like a nice,
progressive.
It kind of does. It kind of does because
it's before its time.
It was before its time. Lola, if you're not familiar with it, is a song about the main character meeting a woman in a bar, and it's sort of cheekily suggested that it's a transgender woman. But what I like about the song, why I think why I'm kind of okay with it, in terms of like how it depicts that group of people, is that like it's a song about ostensibly a young straight man, probably white upper class because it's the Kinks we're talking about, who has like no fucking clue who they are and is just terrified to be like a young straight man, and they run into a transgender woman who just fucking knows who they are and what they want. And that's kind of the message of the song. And it's kind of the message of a lot of the Kinks songs. Like, they're all about people who are kind of in these sort of subgroups of society, and the idea that those people more often know what they want and who they are than the people who are supposed to be like, upstanding members of society or whatever. And so I like that. I also recently, offline, Dylan and I were talking about record players because I just bought a record player that Dylan has, and I was very excited to play my first records on it. And the second record I played on it was Lola versus Power Man, and that song sounds fucking amazing. It just sounds great. So I'm thinking a lot about Lola lately.
I love that song so much. I came to that song. My cousin's husband, it's like one of his favorite songs, and so I was pretty young because they met a long time ago when I heard that for the first time, and it's just like fucking. He's also the other thing too, Scott, with the message you're talking about is that the kid in it is like really into it. He's like, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm for it. Like, he just rolls with it.
And it's sort of like he's met this person and it that kind of rubs off on them. That kind of like security in who they are rubs off on him and is like
it's like empowering.
Yeah, it is. It is empowering, and that's why I kind of like. Even though, I mean, look, it's kind of cheeky, and there might be some fun being had with that entire notion, which wasn't very mainstream in 1970 when that song came out. But it isn't like Lola's not the butt of that song. You know what I mean?
No, not at all.
And so that's what I think is like kind of nice about it. So anyway, that's it, Lola.
All right, Dylan, you young whippersnapper, tell us what the youngins are listening to these days.
Don't talk down to me.
We're not talking down to you. We're talking backwards to you.
I'm cool. I'm hip. I'm with it.
I not recently. It was before all the stuff with the election, but then it kind of segued into the election, the campaigns and the election, and the national nightmare that followed after that. Sarah, my wife, was kind of stressed out at work, and just because like work is stressful and nobody likes to go to a job, like the normal stuff. And so, to make the house just like a little bit more comfortable, we started listening to jazz in the evenings. Like when we got home, we're like making dinner, and like instead of having the TV on, we had that music on. So because it's kind of soothing and relaxing. And since we got the record player, we started collecting jazz albums because it's kind of like a fun thing to collect on vinyl, and playing those. And it's just like something that's been helping me just like relax. And I like having music on all the time anyway in the background, but it's especially helpful if I'm trying to focus on something, or if I'm just trying like not to think about something chaotic like the news. So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like a there's probably a good word for it for some middle class white guy to say that he likes to listen to jazz, but I think it's really relaxing.
Cliche?
It's really nice. I have nothing. Yeah, it's kind of cliche, but and like some nice like organ jazz is like really cool.
Do you have anything in particular that you?
Yeah. Have you developed a penchant for any particular artist?
Well, we like a lot of the standards. So we're kind of building up our library from classic jazz albums like Miles Davis, Herbie Hancock, John Coltrane. But I would recommend this one jazz album that's like more organ based called Jimmy Smith Back at the Chicken Shack.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good album. Just to jump on that, I bought an album recently. I've been collecting some Billy Preston albums, and Billy Preston's first album was before he was singing, when he was just playing organ, and it's not really jazz, it's rock, and it's covers of rock songs. But his first album is called The Wildest Organ in Town, and I really like that title. I think that's amazing.
Man, you see that organ? But that's good. You know what's really good are Chet Baker songs where he's singing. I really like his singing voice. It's
Oh
really
my
nice.
God.
He's
Chet
got
Baker.
and he never wanted to sing on any of his songs because I think he thought he just couldn't sing and he had a bad voice. But it's
Wow, that's
really
amazing.
nice.
I've gotten into a little bit, so I'll do Dylan one better as the middle-aged white guy who likes jazz, which is I'm the middle-aged white guy who thinks he's getting into some really cool jazz that is like actually really mainstream jazz. And I've gotten a little into, also on vinyl, Pharoah Sanders. I don't know if you guys have ever listened to Pharoah Sanders, but it's kind of weird. For me, it's kind of weird. It's kind of out there. And like usually I'll buy a record of his, and half of it like is like borderline unlistenable, like saxophone squawks, and it's like very kind of like experimental, out there, dissonant stuff. But when something of his hits, it's just like amazing, transcendent stuff. And he'll do like entire sides that are just one song, which I really like. So yeah, I'm down with Pharoah Sanders.
I might make a recommendation to our friends in San Antonio. Have you guys been, or Vince, have you been to Jazz Texas down at the Pearl?
Mm-mm. No, I have not.
There's a new jazz bar that opened at the Pearl Brewery, and it's in the basement of this building. And it's this guy. He's got some backers. I don't know what his story is, but he has a band, and he plays piano. But different nights they'll have different people in. But his band usually always plays. But depending on the night of the week, it might be a big band, it might be a 3-piece, it might be like a 5-piece band. But it's a really cool club, and you get to listen to like cool, like really good live jazz. In like the middle of San Antonio, but I really like going there. And my dad is there like 3 nights a week now.
Oh, cool! So I can see Gary if I'm down there.
Yeah, and go down there and say hi to my dad.
Yeah, make sure he gets home okay.
I'll have to check that out. Scott, you just mentioned musicians that put.
Hold on, I have one more song that I like that I have to talk about because I think about it. Maybe like literally once a week. Is Linda Belcher from Bob's Burgers song about Thanksgiving.
Pass the cranberry.
There's probably not a song in my life that I think in my head
so
more
good.
than that song. Thank you for loving me.
Love me. Thank you for being there.
All right, that's all.
So good. It is a good song. Have you heard the Nationals cover of that?
Fuck you. No, really?
Yes, yeah. The band The National did like and like totally 100% legit, like super like moody and like their music is, but it's amazing. So look that up. It's really good.
Right. Sorry, Vince. I interrupted you.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it at all. I was just gonna say, Scott, you mentioned bands that like do like one song for the whole like final half of the album. Sloan, who's another one of my Canadian pop bands that I really enjoyed. They had a recent album called Commonwealth where they let each of their band members write and construct a one half of the LP, so it was 4 sides total, and it was just like a really cool thing where like all the songs kind of blended into each other. They like one guy went for like a heavy concept album where like the songs all referenced each other. One guy just went for like an 18-minute opus. One other guy went for like 10 songs in 18 minutes. It was just like a really cool album. I really enjoyed it.
That's awesome. That's
Sloan
kind of like what
Guided by Voices,
or like what Kiss did, but they made 4 separate albums.
Mm-hmm, exactly. But Sloan's a band that loves to just like do 31 tracks on their album, like Guided by Voices used to do.
Yeah.
Just a lot of fun where every song just bleeds into each other. They're a real cool band. They produce like a new album every other year. I really enjoy them. So
yeah, Sloan's cool. I'm down with Sloan.
And so we're going to be moving on. Michael, you were the first person on this podcast with me, so let's talk about our favorite moments from this podcast. And you get to go first.
Oh, God, just right on the spot. So, I don't know if if I was going to try to pick like a specific moment, it's really, really hard to do. I've had a lot of good times with this podcast. I think my favorite things overall have been, I think, recording the Now episodes and in general, and being able to go back in time and experience those and find how much my opinions have changed on many things and how much I really enjoy now these things that I once thought were so terrible. And I guess that's nostalgia, and I guess that's half why we started this show and everything like that. But it has been really satisfying and fun and competitive in a weird, stupid way to be able to do that. If you wanted me to really go to like a specific moment, though, outside of the Now albums, I think I'd have to go to that time that we tried to explain Trading Places to you.
Wait a second. Go. What were we doing now? Oh, because Vince had never seen it.
Yeah, and Vince had never seen it, and we were trying to explain to him like the gorilla rape in Trading Places.
Yeah, because remember the only thing he knew was that there was boobs in it.
Jamie Lee Curtis's boobs.
Curtis's boobs. Not just
and like the time signature probably, but
yeah.
Yep.
But we were trying to explain to him what the actual movie was, and Vince kept and somehow we made the mistake of dropping that there's essentially a gorilla rape at the end of it.
A gorilla rape perpetrated by Senator Al Franken.
Yeah, and that took
no.
Watched.
Yeah, and that took all of Vince's focus away from what is really a fantastic movie.
Yeah, but all you need to know is gorilla rape.
Yeah.
I was discussing this with someone the other day, that it's like my favorite unjust ending of a movie is that a character just gets raped for the rest of time by a gorilla.
For the rest of his life.
I guess that's probably was that from like a holiday movie draft?
It was like episode 2.
Yeah.
All downhill from there. Now episode,
really
great.
Early.
Holiday episode, also great. Downhill from there.
I mean, it's from a really early episode, and it's really an enjoy. I haven't thought about re-listening to it. I guess I should. But it's just the way we go about trying to do it is so ridiculous, and Vince gets so lost in the weeds on it. And I just remember really, really laughing at Vince trying to figure out what the fuck Trading Places was about.
That was fun.
He still doesn't know.
I don't know.
You still haven't seen it?
No, I saw it like a week after we talked about it. I even came back on a later episode and talked to you guys about it.
That's right. So you've seen it, you just haven't figured out what it's about yet.
Yep, still haven't. I mean, it's like the man with the iron fist, in one ear, out the other.
No, that stock market stuff is confusing. It's okay.
It's about as confusing as the stock market scenes from Dark Knight Rises. They don't make any sense. And I work in finance.
Can I throw one honorable mention in?
Sure.
The trivia episodes where I won all of them. And, And in particular, when Kia, one of my finer moments, I think, in being truly an adult male, when Kia had me go through the entirety of Harry Potter's class, and I think I got like 75 or 80% of them.
Yeah, you got a lot. You went deep on knowing all of the Gryffindors from that class. You went real deep. That was pretty impressive. Now that I think about it. Those trivia episodes were hard to write, and I had one trivia episode in my back pocket, which was only like one category, and it was how long has this CBS show been on? And
God.
what season is The Odd Couple in?
Oh,
wait, the Thomas Lennon Odd Couple?
Yeah.
Third?
3?
Yeah, it's in season 3.
Oh man, I would have nailed that.
What
God,
season?
you and I could have been a
season
team.
What season is Mom in?
Mom
6?
but I'm
3. I think
four.
that's 3 too, right?
It's either 5 or 6. I looked this up recently.
6.
Dang, those things do go on forever. Because old people just leave CBS on, so they get really good Nielsen numbers.
Yeah, I've not seen any of these shows.
Yeah, I've never seen Mike and Molly. I've seen a lot of Two Broke Girls when I was really sick and I couldn't have the strength to change the channel. So I watched like 2 episodes of Two Broke Girls.
Two Broke Girls? I didn't even realize Two Broke Girls was on CBS.
It's like 6th and 7th season now. It's been on way too long as well. But anyways, my favorite takeaway from this whole podcast is that Casey and JoJo are amazing.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I'd agree.
Scott, I think my favorite editing was you editing the end of one episode of Now and doing Crazy Crazy Till I See You Again as like our play out music, and that was really cool.
Yeah, that was fun. I should have just made it every episode.
Sorry.
Oh.
And then Dylan made a comment that I can't.
What just happened there? Who?
I coughed.
Vince,
that
was
me.
that you? Are
that
you okay?
Yeah, I only apparently need a cough when I'm about to talk.
Oh, good.
So, my other favorite really big moment, and joke that I cannot look at Star Wars the same way is when Dylan or Scott made the realization that Han Solo totally is a guy who lives on a houseboat.
Is that me?
I
think that's Dylan. I don't think I said that.
I don't think I said that.
We were talking about something, and then you were like, "Oh, Han Solo is totally a dude who lives on a houseboat." And I've never forgotten that. And every time I watch Star Wars, I'm like, "Yep, it seems about right."
It's so fucked
Did
up.
I just blow that thing wide open for you?
Yep.
It's pretty true.
Hey, look,
and
it wasn't an
Chewie's
insult. I think it'd be great to live on a houseboat.
Chewie's his old stoner friend.
Who just doesn't have a job. It shows up every day.
Yeah. Oh, look, man, it's Chewie.
He breaks up with his wife, Leia, and
Chewie.
then he just ends up going back to live on that houseboat. You know, that's what he does.
It makes sense.
And then every time our friend the Xenomorph showed up, that was a good episode.
Oh, that was fun. Friend of the show.
Friend of the show, the Xenomorph. I still think of Randy Quaid is in Washington, D.C. right now for Trump's inauguration.
He's not hiding in
Randy-
Canada?
No, he's been tweeting.
Yeah, no, he's been tweeting. He's been pretty open. It seems like the last place Randy Quaid should be, but there he is. And I can't look at him without thinking about our show anymore. So
Not friend of
Thanks.
the show, Randy Quaid.
not friend of the show, Randy Quaid.
So, Scott, we'll go to you. Do you have any other favorite memories, or is it just everything is embroiled with Randy Quaid at this point?
No, I can separate the Quaid from everything else. My absolute I also very much like the Now episodes. Those were just like a lot of fun. I always looked forward to it beforehand because I liked being able to listen to the playlist, and I liked just. I'm the kind of person who enjoys Wikipediaing an entire Now album from 15, 16 years ago. That's a fun thing for me to do. So I liked doing that. I liked figuring out what the fuck Fuel has been up to for the last 20 years. Those are things that I enjoy. So I'm glad I had an outlet to do it. I can't really do that anymore. Like, I can't give myself an excuse to Wikipedia 3LW in the middle of a work day.
Or find a flowchart about all the members of Smash Mouth.
Oh my god, it's the best thing I've ever seen. So like those episodes, those were definitely like a lot of fun. My favorite moment, I think, like hands down for me, is the time that that Vince recapped like the entirety of the Terminator Salvation TV show.
Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles.
That was my favorite.
The Sarah Connor Chronicles. Yeah, and it was just the way it happened. He talked about it for like 3 solid minutes, like 3 straight minutes, and which was fine. But he was the only one of us who had watched it, so he's talking about it, and I think we were all just like ready to transition to something else. He says the whole thing. He finishes, gets to the end, he stops, and then just so sadly, like he just realized it, goes, "But I guess none of you guys ever watched that." It's my all-time favorite moment in this podcast. It was just so funny to me. I don't know why. So, yeah.
Vince, you're 2 for 2.
That show is great. It's better than Terminator Genesis.
Oh, I thought you were talking about our show. I was like, we're like in it right now, man. What do you mean that show?
Very navel gazing. Dylan, do you have any favorite memories of this show?
Well, Scott talked about it. I don't know what else to add to it. It was probably the Sarah Chronicles thing, and then also all of the trivia, because I'm a very lazy person, and so I'm glad that Scott spent all that time Wikipediaing all those bands, because then I didn't have to.
Oh yeah.
Look, I don't want this to sound mutually exclusive. I am a lazy person. It's just like I did all of that while I was getting paid or supposed to be getting paid for doing other things.
There's something about having a job that makes doing other things like really
like,
important.
Sound really good. Yeah, exactly. Like, well, I have to.
I gotta do this.
Yeah, I what I really just liked about this podcast is it gave me like an excuse to talk to you guys every week or every 2 weeks or however whatever our frequency was. Like, I love Alex. I don't talk to Alex except now on the podcast in between like the times we see each other in Mambration, or Sam. I don't really talk to that much. Like I do now because like the podcast kind of greased the wheels to like text you guys more often, and so I mean it was really good to like have like a ton of different people on here. Like I pretty much met Chase through this show and hung out with Chase a lot more through this show first before meeting him in real life. And Cody was on here. Cody was our good friend. There's just a lot of cool people. Kia of course does Saturday Night Love with us, and some of my friends read comics. It was a really good group. I even had our friends like Melanie and my wife Kimberly on. It was just like really fun to just hang out with all of our friends on this podcast.
It was fun. Real quick, the 46th year anniversary. That's games. That's 46. 48.
Oh, you're talking about gifts.
Yeah. Anniversary gifts.
What kind of games? Just like board games or like mind games? Like you just start fucking with each other at 46?
I don't know. But 48.
On the 46th anniversary, you go Gone Girl.
Yeah. 48. Home Improvement.
Ooh, like a box set.
I can only assume it means a box set of the TV show Home Improvement. But
I don't think so, Scott.
like, hey, honey, we've been married for 48 years. Go fix the fucking deck, Jesus Christ.
But isn't that like what you care about at that point?
I mean, probably, but it doesn't seem like a gift, does it?
Yeah, that's all she cares about is your big, huge deck.
Oh man.
The gift is you getting out of the room.
Probably true. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up.
Anyway, love is real.
I hope I didn't hijack. Anything we're talking about.
Nope. No, that's how what good comedy writing is you say something sweet and then you have to completely undermine it with a joke before the commercial break.
You call that shitting on the ticker?
Is that what?
That's exactly what you call it.
I was actually talking about this the other night with Richard, the aforementioned Richard, because Scott used to bring this up based on his writing experiences, and Richard was of course watching Scrubs, a show that he loves, which is the only show that doesn't do it.
No, Scrubs does do it. The show that doesn't do it is Modern Family. Modern Family straight up doesn't do it.
They don't shit on no tickers?
Modern Family does not shit on the ticker. They make a big deal that they leave the ticker unshat upon. Scrubs did it. Scrubs sometimes wouldn't do it. They would usually do it. They just would do it in a really soft way. They would really softball those.
Parks and Rec softballs them too, I've noticed.
Yeah, but they still do them. They definitely do them.
And
the
Futurama
only one
would do them. Futurama is very blatant about them.
The only one that just straight up like leaves it hanging there in a way that I find frankly disturbing is Modern Family. Modern Family just says their sweet thing, and then the character stares at the camera, and then it cuts to black, and it just bothers me, not on an emotional level, but because of what I'm used to from television. I don't like seeing that subverted.
I think I'm realizing right now that I've never seen an episode of Modern Family.
You're not missing anything.
Yeah, I don't.
What
think
season is Modern Family in?
Oh, I can tell you this because it premiered in when did it premiere? 2009.
So I'm still in LA. Yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna say they are in their 8th season. Wow, really?
7. No, hold on. 8 or 9. That sounds right.
Wow.
Vince, do you know the answer?
I'm looking it up right now.
I think 8 seasons for Modern Family. That's so many.
They're in their 8th season right now.
Damn. That's crazy.
That's crazy, right? Big Bang Theory, I think, is in its 11th or
yeah, they've been on
10th or
forever.
11th season because they started during the writer's strike.
Yeah, they've been around for a long time.
But,
Man, all right,
hey,
well, there you go.
Time marches on. Time marches on for us all.
It does.
So I just wanted to conclude this this episode with, there are some other podcasts out there. What are you guys' favorite podcasts? And we'll start with you, Dylan.
Ooh. The one I listen to the most, which isn't really like underground or anything, is John Favreau, John Lovett, not the actors, but the speechwriters from Obama's administration have a podcast about politics called Pod Save America. But everybody knows what that is. One that I'll talk about that my wife Sarah listens to that I don't listen to, that I think is kind of disturbing, but I really enjoy it when she has it on, is a show called My Favorite Murder. Have you heard this podcast?
I've heard of it. I've heard there's really good true. Is it one of those true crime podcasts?
It's a true crime. It's 2 girls who are friends, and they love true crime, and they talk about their favorite murders, and they'll describe like this. It's like a serial podcast, a serialized serial podcast, but crammed into like one episode or half an episode, where they talk about like the weird, strange circumstances around this one murder and all like the weird facts and these things that happen, and kind of take you through the whole thing. And sometimes my wife will listen to it like late at night when she's getting ready for bed, which is just an awful time to listen to a show about, because then I'm convinced. It's like, well, because she listened to one where it was about this guy that would go into houses, break in during the day, and hide like ropes and chains and stuff underneath the couch. And then when people were asleep, he would break back into the house and get his stuff from underneath the couch and like tie people up in their beds.
Oh my fuck.
Yeah. So now you're going to look under your couch every night. So
Jesus Christ. Thanks, Dylan.
So what are you supposed to do with that if you find the ropes under your couch?
GTFO? You can hide them.
You hide him somewhere else, and then you wait for the person to break in, and then you use them on him.
Ooh.
When he's like looking under the bed, and he's like, "Where am I?" And you're like, "Looking for these." And he turns around, and then you tie him up and just slap the shit out of him. And then you say, "Now, what did you learn?" And you kick him out.
Kind of a real straw dog situation going on there.
Huh?
Do I have to wait for him to answer?
What did he learn? No, I mean that's a rhetorical question. Maybe
so I can ask him like while I'm kicking him out.
Yeah, or
what did you learn? Slam.
No, you say, "What did you learn?" and he starts to answer, but then you kick his ass out because you don't have time for that.
I'm going to bed.
I'm gonna go to bed. I got an early day tomorrow.
Well, that's terrifying, Dylan. Do you guys got anything? You got anything lighter, or should we just go to Scott?
I'll shout out 2. Most of the ones I listen to are the ones everybody listens to. But there are 2 I really like. One is called, this is the one that I just recommend everybody anytime I'm recommending podcasts. It's called The Memory Palace.
Yeah, totally. I got into that because of you.
Yeah, it's so good. And they're really short episodes, too, which is great because you can listen to one, decide if you like it or not. If you hate it, you're out like 10 minutes. And if you like them, you can just like add them all up and just start like punching through them. So the Memory Palace is a great way into like, I guess technically you'd call it history. It is history. They're true stories, but kind of like off the beaten path historical stories told in like 5 to 10 minutes. Usually more. There's usually more of an emotional arc to them than just kind of like a more dry historical thing. But yeah, the Memory Palace is really good. And then one of my favorite podcasters is a guy named John Moe, and he just started a podcast called The Hilarious World of Depression that is comedians discussing their battles with depression or other mental illness. He's had Dick Cavett on. He's had Maria Bamford. Recently, he had Andy Richter on. And they're really good. They're really funny, and they're really enlightening. And yeah, it's just interesting to hear these people who are successful comedians open up about things like that, but in a funny, engaging way still. So that's a pretty new podcast, and I like that one a lot.
Have you seen Neil Brennan's comedy special on Netflix that just came out recently?
I have not.
Neil Brennan's the co-writer of with Dave Chappelle on Chappelle's Show. He also co-wrote Half Baked. He has a new special on Netflix called 3 Microphones, where he goes to different microphones, and one of his microphones reserved for one-liners. One of it is for the other microphone is just for like standard stand-up comedy, and then his third one is just for like him talking about his depression.
Oh,
like
wow.
His clinical depression. Ooh. And it's that kind of high concept, but it is like he just like it almost isn't him telling jokes, but it is humorous. Him just talking about his clinical depression. It's fascinating.
Sweet. That sounds good.
And like hiding behind Dave Chappelle. He's like, I'm the Scottie Pippen to Dave Chappelle. It's like Michael Jordan. It was like, so you win a lot, but like, but like, am I any good? Like, it was like fascinating. Like his like perceptions of him as a writer.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
It's a really good special. I've only watched half of it, so maybe it takes a turn in the back half. But for the first half of it was really good before we had to go to bed last night. So
I'm gonna watch it tonight.
And Michael, let's go to you. Do you have any podcasts?
Yeah. So, I mean, other than like a lot of the obvious ones, like Scott kind of mentioned that people listen to, I guess, one that's probably fairly well known, but I feel like it's a little less well known than some of its contemporaries on this network is the Slate Whistle Stop podcast, which is John Dickerson, the host of Face of the Nation. He does
John Dickerson is a treasure.
Yeah, he's great. He does a podcast in which he just goes through different stories of campaign history. And he'll usually, he doesn't go through campaigns entirely, but he'll pick like a moment out of, like he'll pick Reagan talking about, I paid for this microphone, so I'll use it or whatever. Like, and everything that led up to it, why, all that kind of stuff that's surrounding minutia of it in the moment and who was in the building. And it's a really interesting, fun way to just kind of pick up on these unique moments that you would never really think about otherwise, because you learn about all the presidents, but you don't learn necessarily about other campaigns. And so that's one I really, really enjoy a lot, and it's a great one to just kind of get lost in here and there. Another one that I've fallen behind on a little bit, but I think has been around for a long time, is very popular, but it's still kind of its only unique niche of this. I haven't really encountered another podcast that does this so well, and that's called Welcome to Night Vale. Have you guys ever listened to Welcome to Night Vale?
Yes, I am familiar with Welcome to Night Vale.
I am not.
Yeah, everybody's. Okay, so, all you need to know is that it's basically, initially, it's this one man who is giving the radio, he's on the radio of Night Vale, and he is giving basically the news. And he just gives updates, and it goes up and forth, and that's all there is to it, except that it is a really bizarre world that you get completely wrapped up in the characters and the narrative and the rules that are constantly changing, that basically comes from this one solo man, at least in the beginning. And I remember when I first listened to it thinking, I don't really know how this can last. And it just does. And it creates such an intricate world that's so fascinating. And it is definitely a big name podcast, but I feel like there's still a lot of people that just haven't thought to themselves, let me go listen to this fictional narrative solo podcast. And if you haven't, you really should, because it's just delightful.
Michael, have you listened to either of their other podcasts? Ones they've launched?
I have them all downloaded. What is it? Alice
Isn't Dead and Within the Wires. I haven't listened to it. I've got a couple of them downloaded, but I haven't listened to it.
I listened to the first episode of Alice Isn't Dead, and and was intrigued by what I heard, and the reaction I had was, well, I'm not caught up on Welcome to Night Vale. I should get caught up on that first, just because I tend to be that person. Gotcha. But I have continued to download it to make sure I have it for when I'm ready. And because another thing too is episodes are generally about 25 minutes, up to 35, something like that long, and it's a great thing if you're like doing cleaning or something like that, just some sort of chores around the house. You can put a couple on in a row and just listen to them in your headphones or whatever as you walk around, and you really get wrapped up in a story while you do a bunch of other things. It's just delightful. I love it. And that's my endorsement.
I guess we'll take it to me for the final podcast. I listen to a lot of. I don't think I listen to the same podcast as you guys tend to do. I listen to a lot of podcasts from the Laser Time Network, and they have they're very similar to our podcast. They have like a Simpsons podcast, and they have a video game podcast, and they have used to have a comic book podcast. But my favorite show they currently have, and it just finished its first year, is called 30, 20, 10. The numbers 30, 20, and 10. And what they basically do is they just look at this week in history 30, 20, and 10 years ago this week. So you get to so if you ever hear my anecdotes of Ferris Bueller is 30 years old this week, or actually right now Irreplaceable was number one in the charts from November through February 10 years ago. Tony Braxton's Unbreak My Heart was the number one song 20 years ago this week. Those kind of things, just it's really cool. They talk about the movies that came out this week. They talk about different political events, different sports events, crazy stories that were happening, big stories like the John Benet Ramsey case, but little smaller things like a game show contestant died on a British game show, and the show was canceled that day and never came back after its 10-year run. That happened a few weeks ago in the 80s, I guess 86. It's just a really cool historical anecdote show. You can go to your family and you can say 30 years ago, this happened. And that's why I like to go for the weirder anniversaries now, like the 18th anniversary of Varsity Blues. So I feel like I'm not treading the same territory that 30, 20, 10 does. But it's just it's a longer podcast. It's about 90 minutes. They spend about 30 minutes on each segment. And it's a really wonderful pop culture podcast that covers everything: video games, music, movies, pop culture events. I like it. It's called 30, 20, 10. I think it's spelled out.
Has a shelf life of about 10 years, though, huh?
Yeah, it really does. I mean, but what podcasts can last for 10 years?
Well, I think we have. No.
we've proven it's impossible, is what you're saying.
Yeah, because I was thinking, this show's gonna hit 1,000 episodes. I need to have all three of those numbers on those things. I need to have 001, 076, I believe is this episode. We're gonna hit 1,000 episodes. We'll burn that bridge in 40 years. That's not gonna happen. But yeah, it does have about a shelf life of 10 years, and then I guess they just figure out what else they're doing. And on that note, you can continue to keep this show in your feed. Listen to all the historical episodes, all 76 of them. I hope we gave you some areas to target, like our Now episodes. But this feed, if you just please leave it in your subscribed, if you're subscribed, it's actually going to be changing to a new show next week called First versus Last, which is it's going to be a monthly show that I host where I have different guests on, and we just cover the first entry of a movie or a video game series, and then the last entry, most recent entry, and just see how it changed, how it went off the rails, what changed. Our first episode is going to be Mario Kart versus Mario Kart 8, Super Nintendo versus the most recent version. The next episode will be about Indiana Jones versus Indiana Jones 4. So we're just going to keep on going. Scott, I want you on for a Shrek episode because I think Shrek
man.
Forever After, I think, went crazy places.
I don't think I've seen that one, so
I certainly haven't either. But I'm interested in the concepts of thinking about how, it's very similar in line with this show, although this show was a little more less structured than this new show will be in terms of actually comparing well, how did characters change? Were characters added? I think Fast and the Furious is probably a great proto example for how many people on the poster of the 8th movie were in the first movie. Those kind of questions.
The important question.
Because a lot of them weren't. And how much Fast and Furious has really changed in the last 8 years, and how much Ludacris has changed as a character over the last 7 movies. Those kind of questions.
Dude, the amount that he changes, you don't even get to. Anyway, that's for that. I'll leave that discussion for that episode.
Yeah, that'll be
you okay, man?
Fate of the Furious. It's gonna be a movie.
I can't wait.
So with that, guys, this was a lot of a fun. It was a really good run on a podcast. We made 76, I think, pretty wonderful episodes. I do have some favorite memories beyond them, and we've talked about them. It was fun hanging out with you guys. I really did appreciate it. Thank you for everything we did together. I really enjoyed it. We haven't really worked together since about 10, 15 years. Back when we were in high school, we actually did creative things together. So it was a fun endeavor, and I really enjoyed it, and I do love you guys so much. So I do appreciate everything we've done together here.
I love you guys too. I am bummed that we've all agreed we have to stop being friends after this. Yeah. I think maybe we should revisit that.
Well, I was thinking about coming back, like, because this is a monthly show, and just like filling up the feed with like some specials, once or twice a year, like that trivia episode. You know how MacGyver would come back and just do like random specials. That's my reference, by the way.
Can we do a first versus last of All My Friends Are Right Here?
Oh yeah. So I think the characters they all still kept their names. I guess there were some cast changes, and there were a bunch of different people that showed up in the different shows, but we did have the same cast we had from the first episode here. Maybe we should have ended on a Now, but I think Now was starting to get into some like new metal, and I think we didn't want to start doing that.
The truth comes out.
I think POD was about to be on the next one, and I was like, yeah, I know. So yeah, I think
we got out at the right time.
First versus last, everybody will be appearing on that at some point or another. We do have 2 other shows. Some of my friends are right. Some of my friends are right here. That's not what it's called. It's called Some of My Friends Read Comics. It's a comic book podcast with me, Kia, and Chris. And then Saturday Night Love with me and Kia and sporadically Scott, where we talk about Saturday Night Live. So we'll be around, and it'll be fun. So I do appreciate everything, guys. I love y'all so much. And I think we're out. So, bye.
Love you guys so much. Bye.
Love you.
It's party time.